in this part of the book, things really start to get interesting because we look at how interpersonal communication unfolds within your friendships, your romantic relationships, your family relationships, the really significant interpersonal relationships that you have. I think students always prefer this section of the course more than any other because in this part of the book, you're actually going to look at how interpersonal communication is shaping really significant experiences in your personal life. Of course, interpersonal communication occurs whenever we talk to strangers and in work settings, and those are important aspects of communication as well. But when we think about interpersonal communication within your significant personal relationships, you really start to understand how interpersonal communication shapes meaningful parts of your lives.
In the first chapter in this unit, you're going to learn about how relationships progress and develop from being strangers or non-intimate partners towards something a bit more meaningful. So what are the different stages that relationships go through as you get to know someone as an acquaintance and you start to build that intimacy and you start to talk a little bit more and learn more about one another as you progress through those different stages of a relationship into something that is more serious, much more committed, and much more involved, whether it's a friendship or romantic relationship. How do we use communication at different stages of our relationship development to move our relationships forward and to help our partnerships progress?
In the second chapter of this unit, we take up the topic of intimate relationships. One of the things that's challenging about having intimate relationships is that what the word intimacy means can be so varied. What does it mean for you when you think about an intimate relationship? For some people, intimacy means a sexual romantic relationship. But intimacy can mean any kind of closeness that we have with another person or even with our pet. So part of what we want to understand within this unit of this chapter of the book is how we enact intimacy and how we enact different kinds of intimacy and the different kinds of communication that occur within different kinds of intimate relationships.
The final chapter in this unit focuses on your family relationships, both thinking about the family that you grew up in as your primary family and the types of relationships that you formed with your mother or your father or your siblings or a grandparent in that environment. And we also use that chapter to think about the different stages that families go through during the lifespan. So think about how your family maybe has changed now that you've gone on to college. How have your siblings responded? How are your parents reacting now that you're a college student and you're not in high school anymore? Or if you're a continuing student, how is your family reacting now that you've gone back to school? How do your children respond? So we'll look at various stages of the lifespan for a family, from those newlywed couples and how that stage in life changes their relationship, to becoming parents and adding children to that dynamic, and how becoming a larger family influences the communication dynamics, and also families in later life. So once older couples become empty nesters and they launch all of those children from the home, what happens to that family now that the communication dynamic has maybe shifted and changed? So in this final chapter of the unit, you'll learn a little bit about family communication and the patterns that make up what a family really is.
So this unit is especially important because it asks you to think about and reflect upon and think about ways to improve your communication within the significant relationships. Right now, if you're on a college campus, you're surrounded by other people who are probably close to your age or at least engaging in the same kind of activities that you're engaged in. It's actually pretty easy to make new relationships when you're in a college environment. So we kind of have bad news because eventually you're going to graduate and your social world is going to become a lot less filled with other people looking for relationship partners. But you're going to need relationships even more when you get into those different stages of your life. And the way you're going to form those relationships is through interpersonal communication. Maintaining the relationships you have with your family members and also creating new families and new family-like relationships. This is going to be something that will be central to your lives for the rest of your lives. So we're especially excited about the material in this unit because we know how important relationships are to people.